use them wet. Here we are for another free.volous webisode featuring my sad bare face and noises from the outdoors. Today, the eternal battle between the Real Techniques Miracle Complexion Sponge and the Beauty Blender. I love beauty sponges. I've loved the Beauty Blender for as long as it has arrived in Portugal. I tried it out, really a fan. These sponges really blend in the product on your skin, and they make any foundation look flawless and airbrushed almost. But they are very useful also to blend out concealer, apply powder, and blend out any kind of excess color you may have from contour, bronzer, blusher, highlight. So these are very useful little tools, and if you have one of these, a basic eye set and one powder or two powder brushes, you're all good to go in my opinion, because this applies all the creams beautifully and can give you a hand with the powders. I know there are plenty of videos about this subject on YouTube, but only recently have I realized that you can actually purchase the Real Techniques Miracle Complexion Sponge here in Portugal. So I decided to make this video more for my Portuguese viewers, but for everyone who is pondering between these two. The Beauty Blender sells for 20+ euros at Sephora here in Portugal, and the Real Techniques Miracle Complexion Sponge is sold for about 8 euros in some beauty stores and also at Kitchen Makeup Boutique. They have a little small shop, but they also have online an online store. You can always go for Feel Unique or something like that to find them there. Let's make the test, shall we? I already have both of them wet. I use these always wet, never use these dry, because there's no sense to that in my opinion. You're free to do whatever you'd like. They both grow a lot when saturated with water, and they become a lot fluffier. What I feel right off the bat is that this one, the Beauty Blender, is far more slightly rougher and porous, and this one is smoother and it has smaller pores. I'm going to use my Clinique Beyond Perfecting foundation. It's a foundation that I really love and that has great coverage, so it's good to see, because high coverage foundations, when not well blended, you will notice they'll become patchy, or with a brush they can easily become streaky. So this is a good test. So I, as usual, am applying a few dots on my skin, really insisting on my under eye bags, a little bit on the forehead. What I usually do with any sponge is I don't go right in with it on my face. I first slightly blend with my fingers, and that prevents staining the sponge, because there's not that much of a high concentration of product on your face that sinks into the sponge and creates those stains that are really hard to wash off. So I firstly blend out gently with my fingers just to smooth some product all over my face, and then I go in with the sponge. I'm going to go with the Beauty Blender on this side and the Real Techniques Miracle Complexion Sponge on this side, and then just gently pouncing the product on the skin. There you go. Then I'm taking the pointed edge and pressing this onto my eyes, the inner corners. It's really good to have these little edges just to go around the nose, inner corners of the eyes, hard to reach places basically. And then I use either the butt of the Beauty Blender or the side to actually press the rest of the foundation in. And there you go. This is one layer of foundation. I'm going to take the Real Techniques Miracle Complexion Sponge. It has basically the same shape, but it has a slanted edge here, which is really useful in my opinion. It feels a little bit softer on the skin when you bounce it. It feels a little bit more bouncy than the Miracle Complexion Sponge, than the Beauty Blender. Oh god, this is going to be a tongue twister. And again, the edge on the inner corner of the eye. So there you go, this is one layer of product on my skin. I can't tell the difference between these two, so just so you know. I'm going to go with an extra bit of foundation. This one also doubles as a concealer, so all in one, yay, underneath my eyes. And then when I have textured areas, I always pat in, and then in areas where I have a lot of product, I just smooth it out. And again, going in with the Real Techniques sponge. I'm wearing no primer so that you can see how both sponges work directly on the skin. I'm gonna go full out so that you can see. That was quick. Cream highlighter. This is where I think this edge is really useful for the tops of the cheekbones. Whoa, that looks a lot! But it doesn't in real life. Oh, lighting. That's when you say you have your highlight on fleek, isn't it? Construction. My neighbor is doing I'm just going to apply a little bit of powder on my T-zone here, so I'm not taking much, you can't even see it, and I'm just pressing it onto this area. Again, you can't see it, but it's there. And then when there's barely anything left on the sponge, I like to press it gently underneath my eyes. I find if I apply too much powder, it creases, it looks cakey, and I look 100 years older, and I don't need that, thank you. But if you're a baker, if you're one of those people who like to bake their makeup, so apply a huge amount of powder, of loose powder, let it sit there for a bit, doing its thing, and then wipe it off. These are little great tools to use to apply the powder, and again, use them wet. I'm going to do a close-up for you to see how my skin looks with both sponges. Both sponges. Here we are, up close and personal. On the forehead, Beauty Blender, Real Techniques, no difference. Then we go here, let me just focus. Beauty Blender, Real Techniques. On my blemishes, Real Techniques, Beauty Blender. I honestly cannot see much of a difference between these two in terms of application. Maybe the wear time of this sponge would be smaller because I noticed some scuffing the third or fourth time I tried to wash it, so you have to be quite gentle while washing these sponges. But if you keep them clean, washed, glycerin soap and then a little bit of hand soap with antibacterial gel, just so you can keep them sanitary, you can have these for months and months and months. If you're not very gentle with your tools, maybe you should skip this and invest in a more expensive one. If you are careful with your tools, you can make this one last quite a long time, so you don't have to keep on repurchasing, which would be off-putting because when added up you would be spending more than in one of these. So it all depends on how you use your tools and how you keep them. But regarding the finish, to be honest, I like them both and I cannot see too much of a difference, and I think that neither of these used as I use them. So applying the makeup with your fingers or a brush and then just using them to smooth on your foundation. This does not drink up too much product, neither of them. And the same with washing. If you use this technique, you can wash them really easily because they don't get stained. So think about that when using your tools. Maybe this doesn't work for you, but it's something to try out. And that's it from me with the sponges. I think it's a tie. If you've liked this video, leave me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. I will not be here next week because I'll be in Spain, so this is a pre-recorded video. But maybe I can do a little vlog of what I was there doing if I have the time and energy, because I'll be presenting a festival, a Lindy Hop festival, so I'll be quite busy and stressed out. Thank you for spending this little time with me. Have a wonderful day, a wonderful week. I hope you are well, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye. For a while. What is wrong with these people? Cars, constructions. Whew. Oh, come on!